Welcome to the Wandiology podcast, where we learn and demystify astrology as a tool to gain a deeper understanding of our energetic signatures and our interactions with the world. Today, I'm joined by my friend, a multidisciplinary artist, a model, a creative. I have so many adjectives that I can't exhaust. Michelle Ngeleche.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, babe. So today we'll be getting into the Aries archetype. We're in Aries season, so let's get into it.
Yes. I think we just started Aries season.
Yes,
Right?
today.
Today.
Yes.
Today being the
March 21st, right?
right.
Yeah.
So Aries goes from March 21st
To around April, mid-April, so maybe 21st April as well. Yeah. But today the sun has entered Aries, so we're in Aries season, and we have so many planets in Aries. Any child born today, I think, will have an Aries stellium,
wow.
like Rihanna. Yeah.
Wait, so an Aries stellium is like when
It's when you have 4 planets in the same sign. So for example, your sun, moon, Jupiter, Mars are in Aries.
Aries.
Yeah. That's a stellium.
That's a lot.
That's
of
a lot of Aries energy.
That's a lot of Aries energy. So what does an Aries look like? What if I say I'm an Aries? What are some of the words you can use to describe me as a person with that sign?
Okay. So Aries energy, first of all, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. And what I mean by that is that a cardinal sign is an initiator of the zodiac. So Aries begins the spring equinox, right? Where it's raining and the flowers are blooming, so the initiators of the zodiac. And because they're a fire sign, they are very bold. It's like the energy of the Big Bang. And so they come explosively, and they're reactionary, and they're unapologetic, and they're bold. And yeah, that's how I'd describe Aries energy.
Bold leadership kind of energy.
Militant, bossy, right? Yeah.
And also, so Aries falls within 2 months, like every other sign, right? Because it like starts in the middle and then ends in the middle of the other month.
Absolutely.
So is there any differences between like Aries were March, now April? They're just really
okay. So astrologically, there's things we call decans. So within the Aries period, it can be divided deeper into decans. So I'm not sure about the Aries decans. I've looked at the Virgo decans because I'm a Virgo sun.
Of course.
But it's like, for example, Virgo, you have like Virgo. So you have a Virgo who's very Virgoan, and then you have Virgo Capricorn, and then you have Virgo Taurus. For Aries, I would imagine it's Aries Leo, Aries and Aries Sagittarius.
Yeah.
So I think when you divide those 30 days or so into 3, you get 10 days. And so that 10-day division, those decans, definitely there's a difference in how those energies, that Arian energy expresses itself.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what are kind of like the parts of the body that the Aries rule? Like?
So naturally, because Aries is the leader and has to be the beginning, it has to be the head. Yeah, and so you find that Arians have really big foreheads. Think about Rihanna and how like that's her staple. It's just like that cranium.
That cranium,
Yeah.
girl.
I have a big ass forehead, like a 5 head. I have an Aries moon.
Yeah.
You'll speak for yourself.
I have an Aries rising.
Yeah.
I have a big ass forehead.
Yeah, so a lot of times you'll find that Arians have big foreheads or actual big heads, right? Yeah.
Like substantially big
Substantially
heads.
bigger
On some
than
mega mind shit.
absolutely on some mega mind shit.
Yeah.
And you'll find that sometimes when maybe like a malefic, which is like a darker planet or a planet that brings about darker themes, is touching on maybe an Aries placement, you'll find that the maybe like health problems surrounding the head area. So maybe migraines, you could watch out for headaches, If it's too dire, maybe things like brain, problems, aneurysms, things like
Yeah.
that. But that's
Yeah.
like there are other factors involved. It's not just because you're an Aries.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. But
Yeah.
that would be where
Yeah.
the
Whichever.
problem would be.
Yeah.
Aries, Mujichunge. Okay. So we have, you said you're an Aries rising. No, I'm an
You're
Aries rising.
Babe.
You're an Aries moon.
Yes.
And there's an Aries sun. So
Mhm.
there's definitely different ways, I guess, Aries shows up within the planets.
Yeah.
So I like us to go
Through
through that
that.
for a bit.
Absolutely.
So we could start with what does an Aries sun mean, and what does that look like?
Okay. So, for example, today, the sun has ingressed into Aries. And what that means is the sun has entered the sign of Aries. Yeah. So Aries is actually represented by the ram. Like, you know how the ram has horns and it meets you head on. That's Aries energy. And so, the sun being in Aries, the sun is kind of exalted in Aries. And an exaltation is like when you have a really dignified guest. When, for example, someone comes into your home and you give them nice food and you give them the nice plates and like you host them really well, that's what happens to the sun in Aries. And so because the sun is a life force energy, remember the sun is also very, like the life force. If we had no sun, we'd have no life, literally. And so Aries being assertive and bold and aggressive, these two energies mesh very well together. And so you find that Aries suns are very, very bold. Think of Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga did things no one else had seen. Like she's camp to the T. And that's that type of Arian energy. It doesn't need to be told to ask for permission. They just chat.
They just do.
And they just do. And it's going to annoy you, whether it's going to annoy you or not. It's that passion that they have. Yeah.
So that's Aries sun.
Yes, sun in Aries.
Then we go from sun into ascendant or rising.
Yes.
Okay.
So essentially, the ascendant or the rising is the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. So for example, for you, it was Aries. So I can imagine you were born maybe like at around 6 in the morning to 8. What time were you born?
I was born at 9 p.m.
Really?
Yeah. Which is it was a very long day.
Really?
My mother was dying. Shout out to her.
Was she actually dying?
No.
Oh.
It was just a long labor.
Oh yeah. It was exhausting.
Shout out to mothers everywhere. You
guys.
guys.
That actually makes a lot of sense if you have Aries placements, because sometimes like I usually know like sometimes like the moon sign can tell you the nature of your birth. So maybe from your mom's perspective, but because Aries is very like conflict energy, it could mean like a hard labor, something where you had to struggle a little bit, because it was the same for my mom as well. Yeah. So an Aries rising, we'll check
what it means for like the birth time.
For that birth time, because it's a bit confusing, but we'll check it. So Aries being on the ascendant, so that means it's falling in its natural house, because the first house is it's about self expression, perception, self-image, and Arians are just naturally very bold people. And so having Aries in the first house where it falls naturally, there's an ease with how you show your personality. There's an ease with how you express yourself, with how you feel about yourself, with self-esteem. It's not a really like, hard task to see yourself in a positive light, in a bold light. You're also probably a very good initiator, someone who starts projects, starts maybe like ideas, like you have a lot of ideas that you'd want to start, but you have to watch out for not finishing things.
Like that starter energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the follow through.
Exactly. The follow through. The follow through is the problem always with Arian energy. So yeah, that's what Aries rising.
Aries rising. Look out for follow through.
Yes.
I mean, gosh, una shout. But let's go. Moving swiftly to the moon.
You need to attack myself.
Yeah. Yes, spotlight.
Oh my God. So the moon sign. The moon sign is about emotional reactivity. It's about the mother. It's about receptivity. The moon is very like direct opposite of the sun. And so having this very bold energy, this very self-expressive energy with the moon, with your emotional reactivity, it's kind of like starting a fire. Yeah. And Aries moons are very expressive of themselves. We are very bold and apologetic. When we feel something, and it's very hard to shy away from your feelings. If anything, sometimes I feel very intensely and very passionate about things.
Yeah.
No matter how small, right? And we have this kind of like a rebellious energy because, when the moon wants maybe to express itself in a very receptive and feminine way, which I know that's a sexist language, but allow me. Feminine way. The Aries is a masculine sign, and so we come and just like the whole concept of a calm, reserved woman is out the window. We are like the Cardi B's of the world. We are the Rihannas of the world.
It's not a Proverbs 360 kind of wife.
No. It's like, listen, you will hear me. You will hear me. You will listen to me. And so, yes, that's how an Aries moon kind of manifests.
Right. So we go from sun, moon rising into now the planets.
Yes.
Right. And we start with Mercury.
Yes.
Okay.
So Mercury, being the planet of communication, and the mind and thoughts, and Aries being bold gives you a bold speaker. Quite literally, someone who's assertive in their speech, in their communication, someone who says what they want, right? Sometimes can be a bossy person, a bossy communicator, like we need to do this. Yeah. And it just gives someone who is very self-expressive and is comfortable in that role, right? But could appear bossy to other people, and that's just because they're very passionate and comfortable with communicating how they really think. Yeah.
And what they need.
Exactly. And their needs. And sometimes that makes people uncomfortable, especially because we're in a society where it's very passive aggressive. Yeah. And we're just outright aggressive.
No, we are. We're very aggressive.
Yeah.
And that shows. But also, I imagine that a person who has a Mercury in Aries is very able to stand up for what they want.
Absolutely.
And will be like, I guess,
yeah,
kama huwezi,
you can't absolutely
leave, and that could rub people
the wrong way. Yeah, but
so
it's okay, be yourself.
And that's Mercury. So now if we go into the planet of love, Venus, how are you going to be aggressive and have like, how is that going to show up?
Yes,
your Venus, Aries in Venus.
Yes.
Venus in Aries. Your Venus in Aries. What does that look like?
Venus in Aries. So Venus is a planet of love and attraction and value. Sometimes money, because for example in this world we tell value through money. And so it's that energy, and that energy does really well in the sign of Libra, right?
Yeah.
Venus is at home in Libra. But because Libra is the opposite sign of Aries, then Venus doesn't do well in Aries, astrologically speaking. And that's because like these energies, just the raw energy, not even remove the circumstances of how people are brought up, how people are doing work, and just raw Venus in Aries energy can speak to someone who is used to being very self-expressive and sometimes self-centered. In like Venus in this sign, and Venus being a sign of like partnership and like listening to your partner, centering your partner, and centering relationships, that might be a bit hard to mesh with Arian energy, because Arian energy is about self, right? And so could just give a very self kind of absorbed lover. That's really just as an energy in itself. And now that's like your cue to just learn how to incorporate other people's needs, right? And see other people, because I go through that even with having an Aries moon. It's about, yes, I'm reacting, but are you also thinking that the other person needs to react as well, and maybe they just don't react initially like that, like you. And so because Aries energy is very reactive, then we burn out, then it's like iniondoke, right? And so we constantly have to be thinking about other people and not ourselves.
Right,
That's the key for Aries people, is you constantly need to be learning from your Libra sister sign about how to center other people. Not to the point of people pleasing, because I don't even think Arians are that capable of people pleasing like that. But to the point of tact,
Right,
and diplomacy.
Yeah, which is something
it's important.
It's not really...
Yeah, like no man is an island.
Yeah.
Aries. No man is an island. Yeah.
Learning from Libra.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we go from Venus to Mars, right? Which
Yes.
is also the planet.
Mars is the ruler of Aries. So Mars is at home in Aries. Mars being the planet of aggression and conflict, and how we assert ourselves outwardly, our outward energy. And so Aries being bold and assertive does really well with Mars. People with Mars in Aries are the people who wake up, do what they're supposed to do. It's not hard for them to just move through the world. Yeah. As opposed to maybe someone who has Mars in Libra in the opposite sign, who might be a little bit not that there isn't that ease in asserting yourself. It's not that they don't assert themselves. They will, but it will feel harder than the person with Mars in Aries, because already when a planet is doing well in a sign, it's kind of like egging you on. It's like a support cushion, like go into the world, go forth into the world. And so that's what Mars in Aries is. It's just a nice placement.
Would you say they're also like very self-driven?
They're very self-driven. They can be very aggressive as well. They can be very aggressive people. Watch out for anger issues
Like
and stuff like that.
Pure
yes,
aggression, like
pure,
fighting.
Yes, like pure aggression.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. So just make sure you have an outlet for that aggression.
Yeah. And it's something you look at. So you're probably going to be the problem in like an argument. You're just the one who's always...
You're going to be more susceptible to being, very angry. But this is just excluding like all the work that you're doing, because also you have to look at, this is just the astrology, the placements by themselves I'm talking about, not your external environment, not your therapy, not all this work you're doing. So, but the key is knowing how this energy naturally is, so that maybe this is my weak spot.
Right.
Yeah.
As like a map to look out for things, as opposed to being like, this is who I am, and therefore I can't change.
And I can't change, but you can.
Yeah, you can. Come on.
Absolutely.
We're always changing. Like how... I feel like that's an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have gone from Mars, and now we're going to Jupiter. Yeah?
Yes. So Jupiter, the planet of abundance, the planet of expansion and lack. So Jupiter blesses wherever it touches, and with Aries, it blesses boldness, right? So because Aries is very self-expressive, and like the go-getters, the initiators. So whenever you move with that energy, Jupiter comes and expands that energy. So for example, right now in the skies, Jupiter is in Aries. So this has been such a perfect time to start projects. That idea you had, the bizarre idea you had, just be bold and go and start it. And like the planet of abundance is there to like
Reward
reward you
yeah.
and kind of like expand that energy. Yes, so that's what I will say about Jupiter in Aries.
Jupiter in Aries. So we go from Jupiter to Saturn.
Which is our placement.
Yes, we
Italy,
do
right?
have Saturn in Aries.
Yes. So we're both Aries Saturn people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Saturn is a tough planet. Saturn is a planet of restriction. It's a planet of isolation. It's a planet that rules over time, age, hard work, and karma. Right? So it's a very much like what you reap is what you sow. What you sow is what you reap. Interchangeably.
Yeah, so what you reap.
So you sow what you reap, yeah? You reap what you sow. You reap what you
Oh
sow.
no, you reap what you sow because that's harvesting.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So Saturn is very like it requires you to do the mundane things that you should do, right? So for example, right now, like March 7th, for example, Saturn entered Pisces, which was a very big transit, because that means those people who had Saturn in Pisces, or rather who have Saturn in Pisces, started the Saturn returns. And you see like this Saturn return period is very fear-mongered. Yeah, and it's fear-mongered because you actually have to do the work. The work that you're avoiding, the illusions that you're building for yourself that are not helping you become the better version of yourself, they're removed. Saturn comes and requires you to, you want a good body, stop scrolling through Instagram liking people with
Do
good bodies.
the work.
Go hit the gym.
Yeah.
Eat right, right? And if you don't, it's like no results.
Yeah.
But if you do, then you kind of like reap the rewards, right? And so with Saturn in Aries, and Saturn being a planet of like kind of karma and lessons, and with that like angle, and Aries being very like bold, assertive, sometimes very self-absorbed, or very like centering the self. This could be to do with lessons about being domineering. We have to learn to not come from a place of me, and from a place of, okay, incorporate other people.
Yeah.
Just try this new perspective where it's not always about you, and see how that works. And for example, like I share a Saturn with my mom, and I think my partner does as well. I don't know if you do as well, but if
Not
they're like a
sure.
69, 68 born,
68.
yeah, so probably they also have the Saturn in Aries.
Oh wow.
So a lot of times, like we're experiencing, so us, because for us it's our first Saturn return, we'll be when we're 29, so we'll be experiencing our Saturn returns as our moms are experiencing the second Saturn returns.
Right.
You see,
Yeah.
so it'll be a time of being tested like,
Collectively.
exactly. And also I'm getting this thing of for our parents, it'll be, okay, this relationship with your daughter or your son, have you been nurturing it the way you're meant to be? Or like, is it just a you? And you know how African parents are just like my way or the highway?
Yeah. So it'll be, what are you reaping from that kind of relationship
Absolutely.
that you've been sowing all this time?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so even for us, it's just about having a voice that's not a bullying voice. Yeah. Even within ourselves.
Yeah.
Being kind to yourself as well. Yeah.
You said 29, so I have a bit of time.
You have
to prepare.
time. That's 2026, I think. That's when we'll be having our Saturn return.
But there are people currently in their Saturn return.
Yes.
So people who are like 28, 29 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so from late 94 to early 96, very early 96, have the Saturn in Pisces. And so they'll just be learning lessons on how to drop the illusions, like drop the act. Like when your illusions come back and bite you in the ass, that's you, that's no one else's doing. So drop the deception, stop lying to yourself and others. Are you also tuning in into your spiritual side? Are you honoring your spiritual self?
Yeah.
Are you overindulging in certain places where maybe you're supposed to be isolating and making time for yourself? And things like that. Are you being a martyr when you're not supposed to be? Are you sacrificing a lot and, you know, from an empty cup? Themes like that.
Yeah, you're not giving back to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Poor
And being too
Lenny.
dreamy and not actually doing the work on the ground.
Right. Yeah. Just all illusion and like you know, plans.
Like I
but
have
not
dreams,
real,
and then it ends
not real actual.
absolutely,
work.
absolutely.
It's gonna bite you.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, but when you learn the lesson, because the key with Saturn is work with it, work with the lessons, because no matter how hard you don't want to do that thing, at the end of that thing is a very, very amazing reward.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Like you have to go through the, like sometimes the only way is through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
just have to do the thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very scary planet. Is it one of those also that usually have darker themes? When we talk about darker themes, are we
It
usually
is.
talking about Saturn?
It is. It is. Actually, Saturn is one of them. It's a malefic planet. And malefic in that the themes are darker.
Wait, and when you say darker themes,
Yeah.
I just want to like panic, okay? And like,
Don't panic.
because when you say darker themes, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no. If then you say darker themes and then G Mercury is in retrograde, you finished. Me.
Yeah.
Because now I'm just seeing so much doom. But that's not necessarily what it means.
No. That's not what that means. Because at the end of the day, I feel like us as human beings, we really like the sunny side of things. We like the, not the consequences, not the hard work. We like the fruits and the having a good time and the dopamine. Let me just say like the instant gratification.
Right.
We're like living in a time where instant gratification is everything. And that's why like you'll go on social media and immediately like the dopamine it gives you. And then after you have a crash and it's like, okay, this is actually not making me happy in the long term. And so for darker themes, and especially with Saturn, it just asks you to reevaluate if you're just doing, are you doing the boring things that will bring you delayed gratification? Right?
Instant gratification.
Yeah, delayed actually. For Saturn, it's delayed. For Saturn, it's go to the gym for 6 months. But for some of us, it's like you go for 1 month and then you're like, hey, my body's not coming.
So Saturn is asking you to keep doing the work.
Keep doing the thing. Keep doing the thing so that you get into the habit of doing the thing. Don't just be excited by the instant gratification of things, you know, like that's not, life cannot be sustainable like that. Right. And Saturn is sustainable. So even when we say darker themes, we just mean themes that are not very, like, in society they're shunned, or like people don't like.
It's the shadow work kind of.
Exactly. It's the shadow side. Yeah. And that's the same with Mars, because Mars is also a malefic, because it's a planet of conflict and aggression. And there's this very negative connotation with conflict. But like I told you, like Mars and Aries go well. And for me as an Aries moon, like I love conflict. Like tell me what's wrong. Like let's disagree, so that at the end of the disagreement we'll be like, wow, okay, I'm actually satisfied. And you're satisfied. It's just not a one-sided thing. And so I think when we start to look at darker themes like that, then it's like that delayed gratification becomes what we're longing for. And it's easier for you to just have the mental stamina to be like, okay, that's the goal. That's the goal. That's eventually what will make me happy in a sustainable kind of way.
And there are also many benefits of really just delving into these darker themes.
Exactly.
It's the hard work.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest. It's like where the bulk of the work is, because it asks you to look at yourself and look at the places where you're the villain.
Where you're the villain.
Where I'm the problem.
You're the problem. It's you.
Like, come on. Shout out to Taylor Swift and that's Ben Badgley.
The problem is absolutely,
But
yeah.
yeah. And those are our malefic themes.
Mm.
Right. So we go from Saturn into Uranus.
Yes.
Yeah. So what does Uranus in Aries look like?
So Uranus is a planet of innovation. It's a planet of revolution. It's a very rebellious energy. It rules also maybe over themes of tech and electricity and things like that. And so with Aries being this very bold, fast-paced sign, and also Uranus being the planet of sudden change, especially, it may just mean like very, very sudden change and fast-paced sudden change. So for me, this is like a very restless energy. It's like experiencing themes of change in a very like like change that doesn't even give you time to stop and think and breathe.
Right.
Like this
things
is what
in your
I
life just woof.
yeah, just moving. And Uranus also being the planet of rebelliousness and like going against the grain. And I think Aries actually also has a bit of rebellious energy in that they're very like, I'm gonna start this. It doesn't matter who agrees with me or not. Like I'm gonna chart the path. And I think those are two energies that can mesh really well in that it's Uranus is innovative and Aries has this energy that's very like, let's do these things. And so when those two meet, it's like just ideas, and you can have like very grand, amazing ideas, literally like inventing something that has never been invented before.
Because you're not afraid to be, first of all, outside the fold.
Absolutely.
And you're very steadfast with what you want.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds like
it's a nice energy.
So wait a minute. I'm now also now thinking, where's my Uranus?
in Aquarius.
In
Aquarius.
That's also a very beautiful
That's
energy.
beautiful, yeah.
I have no qualms.
That's top tier energy.
I'm very glad with what management has been doing in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go from Uranus and we go into Neptune.
Yes.
So Neptune in Aries.
Yes. Oh, Neptune in Aries. Neptune, the planet of spirituality, illusion, deception, and Aries being the sign of self and me, and I'm leading. And Aries is very much I am energy, right? And with Neptune there, it can maybe imply like a disillusionment with issues to do with yourself. So maybe self-image. So maybe a little bit of a blind spot kind of situation where you really can't see yourself, and you have to watch out for feelings of, not really seeing who you are clearly, right? But also it can give also an individual who charts or start initiative, especially in the spiritual matters, people who like do deep dives into like the occult, into mental health spaces,
into things that are very, very personal
and spiritual.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because that's where Neptune lies. And
what does a Pluto in Aries look like?
A Pluto in Aries. So Pluto is a planet of transformation. It's also a malefic. So very fear-mongered planet as well. And I mean, like, I feel like it deserves the rep it gets. All malefics deserve the rep because it's not easy work.
Yeah.
So Pluto is kind of like, think about like this astrologer called Jade was saying, think about like 1,000-pound man sitting on an infant. And that's the energy of Pluto. It's very forceful. It brings about forceful transformation wherever it touches. So with Aries being very bold and assertive and sometimes even stubborn, because Pluto also rules over abuse of power.
Yeah.
Because if you see this force, and this is like an infant who can't defend themselves, they're powerless essentially. And that's why I think Pluto rules over abuse of power, because it shows us where someone has been given too much power and they're abusing it. And so with Aries, it could maybe bring about a extremely domineering person, someone who just dictates and maybe doesn't give space to other people, other voices. But also on the flip side, it could mean someone who goes through transformation in their self-identities, right? So in the way they see themselves constantly changing, because Pluto comes and uproots, and then something new grows.
Right, yeah.
It's very Phoenix energy.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, that's Pluto in Aries.
That's Pluto in Aries.
Yes.
It's like a change within yourself that's a bit
forceful,
massive,
has to happen. Yes, massive.
And has to happen. Right, that's
Pluto in Aries. Yeah, that's a lot. And that's why Pluto is a malefic, because it changes by force. And sometimes it's very like change through death, change through very hard things.
Or like what do they call it? Death and rebirth. Kind of movement.
Absolutely.
That has to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's very malefic, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yes,
right?
that's a lot of work.
Damn. Okay. Right, so we've gone through all of the planets, I think. Even if NASA will be like there.
So let me tell you, we can't finish. Even the asteroids and everything in the solar system, we can't finish.
So when we say astrology, we're really looking at everything within the solar system.
Yeah, like you have signs in the asteroids. For example, like there's an asteroid called Juno, and you have, for example, I have Juno in Aries. Like so much more.
Like it goes really deep.
Yeah. We should do an episode about that.
No,
we will.
Anyway, it's the first episode. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
Wait. But, so other than planets, there's another thing called nodes. And I know that's a very important thing to look up in your chart.
Absolutely.
So what is a node?
So the nodes are the nodes of the moon, right? And this is the 2 points where the moon's orbital path crosses the ecliptic.
Okay.
So the ecliptic is like the sun's apparent path.
Right? Like when you see that
exactly. When you see that dotted, that's the ecliptic.
Right, yeah.
And so when the moon's orbital path, the 2 points where it crosses that path, those are the nodes. And so in like mythology, it's called the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon, right?
Yeah.
And so these essentially are 2 points opposite each other on the axis. So for example, if the north node is in Aries, the south node is in Libra, the sister sign, or the sign mathematically that's 180 degrees away from it.
Right.
So with the north node, there's so many different things I've read about the north node. First of all, I've read about it being kind of like the lessons we have to learn in this lifetime, while the south node is the lessons we accumulated in a past lifetime. So it's where you're more comfortable, but the north node is where you have to get out of your comfort zone, essentially. I also read a thing about the nodes being about fear, right? And how we deal with fear, the things with fear and stuff. So essentially, if you think about it in the lessons way, and having a north node in Aries would imply that you're moving to a place where you're more self-centered, you're more independent, you're looking out for yourself, because essentially your comfort zone is a place where you looked out for other people more than yourself.
Or that would be your south node.
Absolutely.
Right.
And now you're moving, and that's why the sister signs, because sister signs have the polarity is opposite. So if Aries is good at self, Libra is good at others, right? And so if your comfort zone in maybe a past life or a past identity has been to center other people, then your lesson, right, to be in your authentic path or your spiritual path is to center yourself and learn how to be independent. Learn how to just be a little bit selfish. Absolutely. Yes, so basically that's what the nodes are about.
And in the same sense, if your south node is in Aries, it means that you're very comfortable in asserting yourself.
Absolutely.
And what you need to look at is, what other people need.
Like us. We have our north node in Libra.
Yes, we do.
So we have our south node in Aries. And personally, me, I will rock by myself till the world ends.
You know what
I'm
you need.
comfortable.
You know what you need to make yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
And you're very able to say that this is what I need.
Absolutely.
Right?
And provide it even for myself. But like,
Mm.
what am I providing for other
For
people?
others, yeah.
Am
And how are
I-
you letting other people in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And am I
Oh.
treating other people well and
Yeah.
with kindness
And are
and
you
not
trusting
with
community?
Oh, girl. Yes. Let's not. Not today.
No, that's not. Oh, I have another question. Well, I think maybe a finishing question as we begin to wrap it up. Is the North Node the same as the wound, the Chiron?
No.
Right.
The Chiron is completely different. Chiron actually, I think, was like a dwarf planet, or like it was registered as a dwarf planet or something. But Chiron is about healing, right? It's about the healing that you're required to do in this lifetime. And guess where my Chiron is? Libra. Oh my god! Like,
Because that's exactly where mine is.
oh my god! And it's just like, oh, the lesson, the healing is here.
Is it right?
Yeah, you're not running.
no.
You're not running from it.
No.
And so it's kind of like those themes, the themes of partnership, the themes of centering another person, the themes of justice and like true justice, not just like doing things for self-gratification. Those are my lessons in this lifetime mainly. Or those lessons, the more I achieve them or the more I learn, the more I achieve my kind of like authenticity.
Yeah, your
Yes.
truest self and like your purpose within this lifetime, which is incredible.
Yes,
And I know there are many other places in which Aries will fall.
absolutely.
There's so many other things in this world of astrology.
Yes.
There's so much.
Yes.
But I imagine that, a lesson at a time.
A lesson at a time.
A lesson at a time.
Yes, at least for now, we've seen how Aries manifests in the planets. And for the next episode, we'll just see how Aries can manifest in the houses. But even before that, we'll see what the houses actually are in astrology. And we'll just baby steps, just like that. And yes, so for now, that's where we wrap it up. And thank you so much for gracing my podcast.
You're very welcome. I have one. I know I said I had one.
Keep
You know,
it
your
going.
last.
Keep it going.
So we've talked about houses, planets, rising, everything. But like, imagine I'm new. Where am I supposed to get any of this information? How do I, so I can follow through, right? How do I
Yes.
know where my Aries is? Where can I get this information?
Good. So there's an app called Time Passages. Delete the coaster, babes.
Not Costa.
Delete the coaster.
Not Costa.
Download
Those
an
niggas gaslight you. First of all,
Delete.
they have the hashes.
delete, and they have empty houses. Like, what?
How is a house?
Let's not even. But there's an app called Time Passages, like a passage of time, and it's a really good app. So for your chart, it'll give you your information for free.
And to get my chart, what information do I need?
You need your birth time. You need your date of birth, month of birth, year of birth, time of birth, so that you can know your ascendant or rising sign, and then place of birth.
And place of birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all the information you need. Download that app or just go online to astrodienced.com. Right? So that's astro and then dienst.com.
Dance.
Yes. It's, I think, Dutch or something. And just input your information and it'll bring you a chart. If you'd like the chart interpreted, you can reach me anywhere at Wandiology, and I could do that for you. I could explain
What
means
everything
what,
is.
because it's literally just like the diagram.
Yeah. It's like a whole chart. It looks like a compass.
Yeah.
It can be a bit confusing.
It is.
But do not be afraid. It can be interpreted. One day is literally right here.
And Time Passages can give you like some interpretation.
Oh yeah. Time Passages
so that's
is quite
a
nice.
beautiful app.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all about Aries. But
Yes.
I heard you had an interesting fact to tell me about an Aries who I did not think was an Aries.
I did. And for me, like, they're the most Aries person I've ever... I wouldn't even want to say seen, but I'll say seen because physical space is not a limitation. So Quentin Tarantino.
Is
Oh
an
my
Aries.
God. First of all, his head is huge.
It is.
But
And we don't
also-
want to head shame.
No, like, but then for me, I'm saying it in like a wow, in like a wondrous way.
Right, yeah.
Because like only such a big head could like hold such amazing brain power. Because like look at his films. And
Pioneer.
yeah,
leader.
yeah, like creative pioneer. Like
Mm-hmm.
he just does things because he wants to, right? And he's so passionate about his films. And his films are so gory and like Martian themed,
Conflict,
blood,
blood.
right? Conflict, aggression, and
he's never out here being like, oh, hey, romance.
at all,
Mm-mm.
at all,
No,
at all, at
no,
all. It's
no,
like
no.
revenge.
Yes.
Let's go. And I feel like he's just he's the person who encapsulates Aries energy the most.
Like the
to
end, the
me.
end.
The end. It's like, wow, this man is an Aries.
The Aries.
Have you heard him talk?
No.
He speaks like this. Hi, Michelle Ngelechi. How are you? Like that. Like he speaks so fast. He's so fast paced. I just like it's beautiful to watch astrology like come to life sometimes because it's
IRL.
like wow. I know your brain is moving like at 1,000 miles per hour.
And that's just
So-
the Aries in you.
Yeah.
There's really not, you can't help it.
I really, yeah. So here's one person that I wanted to just highlight.
Like an extra Aries.
Yeah, like an extra
An
Aries.
Because
yeah.
what we have Rihanna and Cardi B.
Absolutely. Who are also very Aryan people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cardi B looks like she could go to war
Anytime.
anytime. Just
She's always at war. She's
come
always
at
fighting
me.
someone.
No, for real though. Yeah, yeah. I feel like, ma'am.
Always fighting someone. And I feel that like an internal like just urge to fight all the time. And yeah, so I feel like when that energy is expressed creatively, it's just beautiful. And that's why you see Quentin and his films. And yeah, I think it's gorgeous.
I think
Yes.
I look out for more like Aryan directors.
You should.
I'm now looking at
You should. You should.
It's like who else?
Yeah.
Who else is out here just being very gory, throwing N-words everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Coppola, yes. Oh, interesting. And Lady Gaga, like you see the bizarre nature of Aryans. It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, I'm going to wear the meat dress. What
yeah,
are you going to do?
Yeah. And it also feels like there's a level of this is what society wants.
This is what I'm
I
going to
want
do. That's
this.
me. It's me. You know.
And imagine Poleni. Like I'm just gonna go. Like
Sorry.
I have to.
Sometimes
have to.
I'm usually like in a family gathering and someone says something very out of pocket and I'm like, here's my chance.
Like you just can't let.
let's
go.
light this candle.
Like let's go. Let's go.
Let's go, yeah. And it's just like it's just that intense passion that we have. So just make sure it's not misplaced. And happy Aries season to all my Aryan buddies.
Happy Aries season.
Yes. And so
Happy New Year.
yes, happy
technically,
astrological New
yeah?
Year.
Happy astrological New Year.
Yeah, because definitely my year is not starting on a January.
no.
Capricorn season, no thanks, no.
It's a lot.
But yeah, so that's it for today. Ngeleche, would you please share with us where we can catch you on socials?
I definitely will. You can find me on Instagram at chris.kosi. Please do not look for me anywhere else. Those are private social spaces.
Feel that.
Meaning I say a lot of out-of-pocket things
Yeah.
I will not be held liable to. But that's where you can find me on Instagram at chris.kosi. Many other places will be revealed, but for now, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
gracing me with your
And where can we
presence.
find you, Wandia? What if I have more questions?
You can find me anywhere on at Wandiology. I'm very unapologetic about the things I say. If you choose to be offended, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yeah.
Aries.
Yeah. So I have my Aries moon as my ruler. So just find me anywhere on at Wandiology. And I also offer birth chart readings, solar return chart readings, like anything astrology related. You can just reach me anywhere at Wandiology. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And yes, that's it.
You might also find Wandia outside in the places doing tarot card readings.
Absolutely.
Book.
book me,
Your life
'cause
will literally change, right? All the red flags will be revealed.
I will tell you the way it is. So so yeah, so that's it for today, but we'll keep these episodes coming, learning about astrology. So thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.